Jake Morrison floated inside his damaged scout ship, watching the red warning lights blink across the control panel. The small vessel had taken him far beyond the mapped regions of space, further than any human had traveled before. Now, with the engine failing and life support running low, he wondered if he would ever see Earth again. The radio crackled with static. Jake had been sending distress signals for 3 days, but space was vast and empty. His chances of rescue seemed slim. He checked his oxygen levels again. Maybe 2 days left if he was lucky. Then something appeared on his scanner. A massive ship, unlike anything in Earth's database, was approaching his position. Jake's heart raced. This was it. First contact with alien life. He had dreamed of this moment since joining the space program, but not like this. Not while stranded and helpless. The alien vessel was enormous, easily 100 times larger than his scout ship. Its hull was dark blue and covered with strange patterns that seemed to glow. As it drew closer, Jake felt his small ship being pulled by some kind of tractor beam. He had no choice but to let it happen. Within minutes, his ship was inside a large bay. The doors closed behind him, and atmosphere flooded the chamber. Jake watched through his viewport as figures approached. They were tall, taller than humans, with 4 arms and skin that shimmered like oil on water. Their heads were smooth and oval-shaped, with large eyes that reflected light like mirrors. One of the aliens tapped on his hull. Jake took a deep breath, put on his helmet as a precaution, and opened the hatch. The alien stepped back, observing him with curious eyes. It made a series of clicking sounds, then pointed a device at Jake. A voice came from the device, speaking perfect English. "You are human, from the planet Earth. We are Krell. You are safe now." Jake climbed out of his ship, legs shaky from 3 days in zero gravity. "Thank you for rescuing me. My name is Jake Morrison, lieutenant in Earth's exploratory fleet." The alien who had spoken made a gesture that might have been a nod. "I am Thexlar, commander of this research vessel. We detected your distress signal. Your species is new to our records. This is fortunate for us." Jake didn't like the sound of that. Fortunate? Thexlar led him through corridors filled with strange equipment and other aliens. "We study species across the galaxy. We catalog their abilities, their strengths, their weaknesses. You are the first human we have encountered. You will help us understand your kind." They entered a large room filled with screens and monitoring equipment. Several Krell were working at stations, and they all turned to look at Jake when he entered. One of them, smaller than the others, approached with obvious excitement. "A human! Finally! I have read the limited data from your planet's transmissions. Fascinating species. I am Vector, research specialist." Jake felt like a specimen in a lab, which wasn't far from the truth. "What exactly do you want from me?" Thexlar gestured to a chair. "We conduct standard tests on all new species. Physical capabilities, mental aptitude, endurance levels. The data helps us understand where each species fits in the galactic hierarchy. Do not worry. The tests are safe. Most species find them challenging but manageable." Jake sat down, still wary. "And if I refuse?" "Then we return you to your damaged ship and send you on your way," Thexlar said. "But your vessel will not survive the journey home. Your life support is nearly exhausted. If you participate in our tests, we will repair your ship and provide you with supplies and coordinates for safe passage back to Earth." It wasn't much of a choice. Jake needed their help to survive. "All right, I'll do your tests." Vector made an excited chirping sound. "Excellent. I will prepare the equipment. Based on our scans, humans appear to be average in most physical categories. Moderate muscle mass, standard skeletal structure, typical organ systems. This should not take long." The other Krell in the room seemed to find this amusing. Jake heard clicking sounds that he guessed was their version of laughter. One of them said something in their language, and several others joined in the clicking. Vector looked embarrassed. Ignore them. They are making wagers on how quickly you will fail the endurance test. It is tradition. Most species do not last more than one rotation cycle. How long is that? Jake asked. In your Earth measurements, approximately 30 minutes, Jake smiled. 30 minutes? That's barely a warm-up where I come from. The clicking laughter stopped. Thexlar studied Jake with those mirror-like eyes. You claim your species can endure physical stress for longer than 30 minutes? Much longer, Jake said. On Earth, we have events where people run for hours. Some run for days. We're built for endurance. Vector pulled up data on a screen. Impossible. Your physiology does not support such claims. You have no enhanced muscle structure, no secondary respiratory system, no energy storage organs. How could you possibly sustain activity for hours? Jake shrugged. I guess you'll find out during your tests. The Krell exchanged looks. Thexlar made a decision. Very well. We begin tomorrow, after you have rested and eaten. Vector will show you to quarters. I suggest you enjoy your confidence while it lasts, human. Every species believes they are special. The tests reveal the truth. As Vector led Jake through the ship to a small room with a sleeping platform, the young researcher kept glancing at him with curiosity. Tell me, Jake Morrison, what is the longest you personally have engaged in sustained physical activity? Jake thought about the marathon he had run last year. I once ran for 4 HFY. Morning came quickly aboard the Krell ship, though Jake knew it was just an artificial cycle. He had slept well enough on the strange bed, and someone had left food outside his door. The meal was bland, but filling, some kind of protein paste with a texture like oatmeal. Vector arrived to escort him to the testing facility. The young researcher seemed nervous, clutching a data tablet to his chest. I informed Commander Thexlar of your claims about human endurance. He has authorized expanded testing protocols. The other researchers think I am wasting resources. They entered a massive chamber with equipment Jake didn't recognize. Several Krell were already there, preparing various stations. Thexlar stood in the center, all 4 arms crossed in what looked like skepticism. Human Jake Morrison. We will begin with strength assessment, then proceed to endurance trials. Are you prepared? Jake stretched his arms and legs. Ready when you are. The first test involved lifting. A machine held weights of various sizes, each marked with symbols Jake couldn't read. Vector explained that he would start with a weight considered moderate for most species and work upward until he reached his limit. Jake approached the first weight. It was a bar with round plates on each end, similar to Earth barbells. He gripped it and lifted. It was heavy, maybe 100 pounds, but manageable. He completed 10 lifts easily. The Krell researchers made notes. One of them clicked something that sounded dismissive. They added more weight. Jake lifted again. Still not too difficult. They added more. Jake's muscles began to strain, but he completed the lifts. The Krell were paying closer attention now. They kept adding weight until Jake finally struggled to complete a lift. His arms shook with effort, but he managed it. Thexlar called an end to that portion of the test. Adequate performance, the commander said. Your strength is within expected parameters for your body mass. Nothing remarkable. Jake wiped sweat from his forehead. I'm not a weightlifter. You want to see what humans are really good at? Let's move to that endurance test. The Krell led him to another section of the room. There stood a machine that looked like a treadmill, but larger and more complex. The surface moved under force fields that could simulate different terrains. Vector helped Jake onto the platform. This device measures sustained physical output. You will move at a set pace. We begin at standard difficulty, level 5. Most species maintain this for 20 to 30 minutes before exhaustion. Jake tested the surface with his feet. What's the record? Vector checked his tablet. The Dorvian species, known for their stamina, achieved 52 minutes before requesting termination. They are considered exceptionally hardy. Noted, Jake said. Let's start. The machine activated. The surface began moving and Jake started running. The pace was comfortable, like a light jog. He found his rhythm quickly, breathing steady, arms pumping. The Krell watched from behind protective glass. 10 minutes passed. Jake felt good, barely warmed up. The Krell were taking readings, but they didn't seem impressed yet. 20 minutes. Jake increased his pace slightly just to see if he could. The machine adjusted to match him. 30 minutes. Still going strong. Now the researchers were paying attention. They clustered around monitors, pointing at readouts. Jake could see them through the glass, talking rapidly among themselves. Vector kept looking between his tablet and Jake, as if unable to believe what he was seeing. 40 minutes. Jake was sweating now, but his breathing remained controlled. He had run longer distances than this many times. This was nothing compared to his training runs back on Earth. 50 minutes. The Dorvian record passed. The Krell were no longer taking casual notes. Every researcher in the room was focused on Jake. Thexelar approached the glass, all 4 arms at his sides, watching intently. 1 hour. Jake's shirt was soaked with sweat, and his legs were beginning to feel the effort, but he maintained his pace. The clicking sounds from the Krell had stopped. The room was silent except for the hum of the machine and Jake's steady footfalls. Vector's voice came through a speaker. "Jake Morrison, you have exceeded our projections. Do you wish to stop?" Jake called back. "Is that all you've got? Increase the speed." The researchers looked at each other. Thexelar gave a command, and the machine's pace increased. Jake adjusted, pushing himself harder. His heart rate climbed, but he had plenty left to give. 90 minutes. 2 hours. The Krell were no longer just observing. They were studying him like he was a puzzle they couldn't solve. Vector kept scanning Jake with handheld devices, checking for equipment malfunction or some trick. "His vital signs are elevated but stable," Vector reported. "Body temperature is increasing, but his cooling system is compensating through liquid secretion. I have never seen such efficient thermal regulation." Another researcher added, "His respiration is steady. Oxygen consumption is high but sustainable. There is no indication of muscle failure or organ stress beyond normal parameters." Thexelar spoke, and Jake could hear confusion in the translated voice. "Increased difficulty? Add incline?" The machine's surface tilted upward, simulating a hill. Jake leaned forward, adjusting his stride. This was harder, much harder, but he had trained on hills before. He could handle this. 3 hours. Jake's legs were burning now, and his lungs worked hard to pull in oxygen. Sweat poured off him, creating a small puddle on the machine's surface. But he didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Not yet. He had something to prove, not just to the Krell, but to every human who would come after him. The researchers had abandoned their other work. They all watched Jake with something approaching awe. Even the ones who had been making bets earlier were silent now. 4 hours. Jake's mind began to play tricks on him, as it always did during long runs. He thought about Earth, about the mountains near his home, about the trails he used to run with his sister Kate. She would be proud of him right now. She always said he was too stubborn to know when to quit. Vector spoke again, his voice softer now. "Jake Morrison, please. You have proven the Krell research team gathered in their conference room after Jake's remarkable performance." Vector stood at the front, displaying data on large screens while the others watched in silence. Jake could see them through the window of his recovery room, where he sat with his feet elevated, drinking more water. A medical officer had examined him after the test. The alien seemed baffled that Jake required nothing more than rest and hydration. No broken bones, no organ damage, no cellular breakdown. Just tired muscles and depleted energy, both of which would recover naturally. Thexelar entered Jake's room, ducking slightly through the doorway. "We have analyzed the results. Your performance contradicts everything we know about species of your physical classification. I must ask you directly, are all humans capable of this?" Jake considered the question. Most humans could do what I did, with proper training. Some could do much more. We have people on Earth who run races that last for days. They cover hundreds of miles through mountains and deserts. What I did today was impressive to you, but back home, it would be considered a good workout. Nothing more. The commander's mirror-like eyes reflected Jake's image. This challenges our understanding. We have encountered thousands of species across hundreds of worlds. None combine your level of endurance with your apparent fragility. You have no armored skin, no redundant organs, no enhanced musculature. Yet you outperform species built far more robustly. Evolution, Jake explained. Humans evolved as persistence hunters. Our ancestors would chase animals for hours, even days, until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. We would just keep coming, keep following, never stopping. That's in our blood, our bones, our DNA. We're built to keep going. Vector joined them, practically vibrating with excitement. I have proposed additional tests. Commander Thexelar has approved them, but these will be different. We need to understand not just your physical limits, but the mental processes that allow you to push past pain and fatigue. Jake set down his water container. What did you have in mind? The young researcher pulled up images on a handheld display. A comprehensive survival challenge, 24 hours in a controlled environment with variable conditions. Most species require rescue at the 12-hour mark. Some fail much sooner. And if I agree to this, Thexelar answered, then we will have data that forces the Galactic Council to reconsider their assessment of humanity. You would be doing your species a great service. Currently, Earth is classified as a developing world with limited potential. That classification determines how other species may interact with you. Change that classification, and you change humanity's future among the stars. Jake stood up, testing his legs. They were sore but functional. When do we start? 6 hours later, after food and rest, Jake stood at the entrance to the testing chamber. It was enormous, easily the size of a football field, with walls that could project different environments. Vector explained the rules through a communicator. You will face multiple challenges over the next 24 hours. Temperature extremes, physical obstacles, problem-solving tasks. You must remain active throughout. Food and water will be available, but you must find them and earn access through completing puzzles. If at any point you feel unable to continue, press the emergency beacon we have given you. Jake clipped the small device to his belt. Understood. One question. What's the record time? 18 hours. Achieved by a Korthian warrior, a species bred specifically for combat endurance. He required medical intervention afterward. Good to know. Jake stepped into the chamber. The door sealed behind him with a hiss. The first hour was deceptively easy. The environment resembled a pleasant forest, with soft ground and comfortable temperature. Jake explored, finding a puzzle box that, when solved, dispensed a nutrition bar and water pouch. He ate while walking, conserving time. Then the temperature dropped. Within minutes, the forest became a frozen wasteland. Jake's breath formed clouds in the air. His fingers and toes began to ache from the cold. He started running, generating body heat through movement. The Krell were testing his temperature tolerance. Jake found an obstacle course made of ice. He had to climb, jump, and crawl through it to reach the next puzzle box. His hands slipped on the frozen surfaces, and his muscles protested the cold, but he pushed through. This was like winter training back home, running through snow and ice when any sane person stayed indoors. 3 hours in, the environment shifted again. The ice melted away, replaced by scorching desert. The temperature soared. Jake stripped off his outer shirt, using it to cover his head from the simulated sun. Sweat began pouring immediately. He would need to be careful about dehydration here. He found water sources hidden throughout the desert environment, but each required physical challenges to access. Climb a rock wall, dig through sand, solve a logic puzzle while exposed to the heat. Jake methodically completed each task, forcing himself to think clearly despite the oppressive temperature. 6 hours, 9 hours, 12 hours. The environment continued to shift. Tropical jungle with high humidity, thin mountain air that made breathing difficult. A maze of corridors that tested his problem-solving abilities while physically exhausted. Through it all, Jake kept moving. The Krell observation team watched in growing amazement. Vector provided constant commentary, analyzing every aspect of Jake's performance. Notice how he adapts his strategy to each environment. In the cold, he maintains movement to generate heat. In the heat, he slows his pace to conserve water but never stops completely. His breathing changes with air density. His body's temperature regulation through perspiration is remarkable, crude, but highly effective. Another researcher added, his mental state remains focused. We have seen no signs of panic or despair, even when challenges seem overwhelming. Where does this psychological resilience originate? Thexalar had been watching for hours without break. It is cultural, as much as biological. Notice his face when he encounters difficult obstacles. He smiles. He views suffering as a challenge to overcome, not a reason to surrender. This mindset may be humanity's greatest advantage. 18 hours. Jake had matched the Korthian record. His body was covered in sweat, dirt, and minor scrapes. His eyes burned from exhaustion, and every muscle screamed for rest. But he kept going. He thought about his family, his friends, everyone back on Earth. He was representing all of them out here. He couldn't quit. 20 hours. The environments became more extreme, alternating hot and cold in rapid succession, testing his body's ability to adjust. Obstacles that required precise coordination when his hands shook from fatigue. Puzzles that demanded clear thinking when his mind begged for sleep. Jake talked to himself, a habit from long solo training runs. Come on, Morrison. You've done worse. Remember that time you ran a marathon with the flu? Remember training in the rain for 6 hours? This is nothing. Just keep moving, one foot in front of the other. Jake woke up in a medical bay, his body sore but recovering. According to the display on the wall, he had slept for 14 hours. A tray of food sat on a table beside his bed, still warm. The Krell were taking good care of him. Vector entered, carrying his ever-present data tablet. Good morning, Jake Morrison. How do you feel? Jake sat up slowly, testing his muscles. Like I got hit by a truck. But I'll live. How are the test results? The young researcher's excitement was impossible to contain. Extraordinary. Your recovery rate is accelerating beyond our models. Most species would require days of medical intervention after such stress. You need only rest and nutrition. Your body treats extreme exertion as normal. Expected, it is designed to recover from such stress repeatedly. That's kind of the point, Jake said, reaching for the food. Human athletes train by pushing their limits, then recovering, then pushing again. We get stronger through stress and recovery cycles. Yes. Yes. Vector pulled up charts on his tablet. I am documenting everything. This will revolutionize our understanding of biological adaptability. But there is more. Commander Thexalar wishes to speak with you. The results have created significant discussion among our leadership. After eating and cleaning up, Jake followed Vector to Thexalar's office. The commander's quarters were sparse and functional, filled with star charts and communication equipment. Thexalar gestured for Jake to sit. Jake Morrison, I must be honest with you. When we rescued you, I viewed humans as an insignificant species. Weak, primitive, barely worth cataloging. I was wrong. The commander's forearms moved in what Jake had learned was a gesture of acknowledgement. Your performance has forced me to reconsider not just humanity, but our entire system of species classification. Jake listened carefully. There was something serious in Thexalar's tone. The commander continued, We Krell have traveled the galaxy for thousands of your years. We have evaluated countless species, determining their strengths, weaknesses, and potential. This data guides the Galactic Council in their decisions about which species to contact, which to ignore, which to watch carefully. And humans? Before your tests, I would have classified humanity as moderate tier, worthy of observation but not concern. Now, Thexlar pulled up a holographic display showing various species. Now I must classify you as potentially dangerous. Jake felt a chill despite the warm room. Dangerous? We're not warriors. We don't want conflict. Dangerous not because of aggression, but because of capability combined with unpredictability. Thexlar zoomed in on the human profile. Species with great strength are predictable. They use force. Species with advanced technology are predictable. They use tools. But humans? You possess moderate strength, moderate technology, but unlimited persistence. That combination is unprecedented. Vector added, we can calculate how much damage a strong species can do before exhaustion. We can predict how long a species can maintain offensive operations based on their endurance. But humans break these calculations. You simply do not stop when logic says you should. Thexlar's mirror eyes fixed on Jake. Tell me honestly, if your planet was threatened, if your people were in danger, what would humans do? Jake didn't hesitate. Whatever it takes. For as long as it takes. We would never surrender, never give up, not while a single human could still fight or work or struggle. That's who we are. The commander made a sound like a sigh. That is what concerns me, and that is also why I am recommending to the Galactic Council that humanity be offered alliance rather than mere observation. This surprised Jake. Alliance? Why? Because species like yours are valuable, Jake Morrison. The galaxy is vast and dangerous. There are threats that require more than strength or intelligence. They require endurance, determination, the willingness to face impossible odds and continue anyway. Humans have that quality. Vector spoke up. There is more. Commander Thexlar wishes to conduct one final test. Not of your body, but of your character. Jake looked between them. What kind of test? Thexlar brought up a scenario on the display. Imagine this situation. A research team is stranded on a hostile moon. Their ship is damaged beyond their ability to repair. Rescue is possible, but it would require someone to work continuously for 72 hours in difficult conditions to prepare the extraction. Most species would send teams in shifts, but the nature of the work requires continuous effort by someone who understands the full context. What would you do? Jake thought about it. I would do the work myself. 72 hours is long. But if people's lives depended on it, I would find a way. Even knowing it might cause permanent damage to your body, even then, you don't abandon people who need help. Thexlar and Vector exchanged looks. The commander spoke quietly. This is a hypothetical scenario, Jake Morrison. There is no stranded team. But your answer tells me what I needed to know. You value others above yourself. You would endure suffering to prevent others from suffering. This is not universal among intelligent species. Many prioritize self-preservation above all. Jake shrugged. Maybe it's a human thing. We have a saying, leave no one behind. It means you take care of your people no matter what. You don't quit on them. Even when those people are not human? Vector asked. Jake met the young researcher's gaze. You pulled me out of a dying ship. You fed me, gave me a place to rest, treated me with respect. As far as I'm concerned, that makes you people worth helping. Species doesn't matter. Decent behavior does. Thexlar stood, all four arms spread wide in a gesture Jake didn't recognize. This is why I will recommend alliance. Not because humans are strong, though you are. Not because you are intelligent, though you show capability. But because you extend your loyalty beyond your own kind. That quality is rare, precious, and necessary. The commander moved to a communication panel. I am going to contact the Galactic Council immediately. This cannot wait. You have changed my understanding of what makes a species valuable. Jake Morrison. The Council needs to hear about humanity before someone makes a terrible mistake. What kind of mistake? Jake asked. Vector answered. Some species see developing worlds as targets for conquest or exploitation. If they approach Earth thinking humans are weak and easily dominated, they will be making a fatal error. Better that the Council contacts Earth officially, with respect and offers of partnership. Jake felt the weight of what was happening. He had come out here as one man in a damaged ship. Now he was potentially changing humanity's entire relationship with the galaxy. What happens next? Thexalar activated the communication system. Next, I make my report. Then we take you home. But you will not be going back alone. I am assigning Vector as a liaison to Earth. He will help your people understand what awaits them among the stars. And he will help the galaxy understand what humans truly are. The young researcher looked stunned. Commander? You are assigning me to Earth? The journey back to Earth took 6 days. Jake spent most of that time with Vector, teaching the eager researcher about human culture, history, and society. The young Krell absorbed everything like a sponge, asking countless questions about topics ranging from human music to political systems to family structures. So humans form pair bonds typically with one other human? Vector asked during one session. And these bonds are based on emotional attachment rather than genetic compatibility matching? Jake laughed. That's one way to put it. Yeah, we usually fall in love with one person at a time. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. It's messy and complicated and wonderful. Fascinating. Krell reproduction is entirely clinical. We combine genetic material based on optimal trait selection. I confess, your system sounds much more interesting, if inefficient. That's humans for you. We do things the hard way. As they talked, Jake also spent time watching Earth grow larger in the view screen. His home planet looked beautiful from space, a blue and white marble suspended in the darkness. He had been gone for nearly a month. His superiors must think he was dead. His family would be devastated. Thexalar joined him at the observation window. We will arrive in your solar system within hours. I have sent advanced communication to your planetary defense network, identifying ourselves as peaceful visitors and explaining the situation. They are scrambling to prepare a proper reception. I bet they are, Jake said. This is going to change everything. Change is inevitable. The question is whether it is controlled or chaotic. Your presence and Vector's assignment to Earth will help ensure the former. The commander paused. I have received confirmation from the Galactic Council. They are dispatching a diplomatic ship to Earth. It will arrive within 2 of your weeks. They wish to formally welcome humanity to the galactic community. Jake felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. Are we ready for this? No species is ever truly ready, but humans have something most species lack when they reach this point. You have already proven yourself. The Council knows what you are capable of. They will approach Earth with respect, not condescension. That is a significant advantage. The ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. Immediately, human vessels began approaching. Military ships bristling with weapons but maintaining cautious distance. Jake could imagine the chaos in Earth's command centers right now. Thexalar opened communication channels. Attention, Earth vessels. This is Commander Thexalar of the Krell Exploration Fleet. We are returning one of your people, Lieutenant Jake Morrison, who we encountered in distress. We come in peace and wish to establish diplomatic relations. There was a long pause. Then a voice came through, speaking English with a Texas accent. Krell vessel, this is Admiral Helen Carter of Earth Defense Command. Stand by for verification. Jake Morrison, if you're really aboard that ship, we need you to confirm your identity. Jake moved to the communication station. Admiral Carter, this is Lieutenant Jake Morrison, service number 4782 Alpha 6. I am aboard the Krell vessel voluntarily. These people saved my life and treated me with respect. They're here as friends. Another pause. longer this time. Jake could imagine the frantic background discussions happening on Earth. Finally, Admiral Carter spoke again, her voice showing strain. "Lieutenant Morrison, you've been listed as missing and presumed dead for 23 days. Your family has been notified, and now you show up with aliens. You're going to have a lot of explaining to do." "Yes, ma'am. I understand. But trust me when I say this is a good thing. A very good thing." The Krell ship was escorted to a high orbit above Earth. Dozens of cameras tracked their every move. Jake knew that every human on the planet was probably watching right now. First contact happening in real time. A shuttle was dispatched to bring Jake down. Vector would accompany him, the first alien to officially visit Earth. The young researcher was practically vibrating with excitement. "I am going to see Earth! I will walk on your world! I will breathe your air!" Vector clutched his data collection equipment. "I must document everything." Jake put a hand on his friend's shoulder. "Just be yourself. Humans are going to love you. Fair warning, though. You're going to be mobbed by scientists who want to ask you a million questions." "I welcome all questions. I have many questions of my own." The shuttle ride down was smooth. They landed at a military facility that had been hastily converted into a first contact center. As the doors opened, Jake saw rows of soldiers, diplomats, scientists, and news cameras. At the front stood Admiral Carter, a stern woman in her 50s with steel-gray hair. Jake stepped out first, saluting. "Lieutenant Jake Morrison, reporting back from extended patrol, ma'am." Admiral Carter returned the salute, then surprised him by pulling him into a brief, fierce hug. "Your mother is going to kill you for worrying her like this. Welcome home, son." Then Vector emerged, and the entire crowd fell silent. The Krell researcher stood tall, his forearms visible, his mirror-like eyes reflecting the assembled humans. For a moment, nobody moved. Vector broke the silence. "Greetings, people of Earth. I am Vector, researcher of the Krell Exploration Fleet. I come as a friend and liaison, assigned to help your world prepare for its place in the galactic community. I am honored to walk upon your planet." Admiral Carter stepped forward, extending her hand in the universal human gesture of greeting. "Welcome to Earth, Vector. We have a lot to learn from each other." Vector studied the offered hand, then carefully extended one of his own to grasp it. The moment was captured by hundreds of cameras. Humans and aliens shaking hands for the first time in history. Over the following days, Jake was debriefed extensively. He told his story over and over, showing the video recordings Vector had made of his tests. The scientists were amazed. The military was concerned. The politicians argued about what it all meant. But Jake's favorite moment came when he was finally allowed to go home. His mother opened the door, saw him standing there, and burst into tears. His father grabbed him in a bear hug. His sister Kate punched his arm. "You idiot! We thought you were dead." Jake grinned. "I was making friends with aliens. You know, like you do." That night, his family gathered around the dinner table while Jake told them everything. About the Krell, about the tests, about proving what humans could do. Kate listened with shining eyes. "So, you basically showed aliens that humans don't quit?" "Pretty much." "That's the most Jake Morrison thing I've ever heard." 2 weeks later, the Galactic Council's diplomatic ship arrived. Jake was invited to be present at the first official meeting, along with Vector and Earth's top leaders. The council representatives were a diverse group, 6 different species all there to welcome humanity. The head diplomat, a tall being with scales and wise eyes, addressed the assembled humans. "People of Earth, we welcome you to the galactic community. You come to us younger than most species, less advanced in some ways, but you bring something precious. You bring the spirit of persistence, the gift of endurance, the unwillingness to surrender in the face of challenge. These qualities are rare and valuable." The diplomat gestured to Jake. "This human, Jake Morrison, has shown us what your species is capable of. not through violence or domination, but through simple determination and compassion. He endured our tests not to prove superiority, but to demonstrate capability. He spoke of helping others, even those not of his kind. This is the foundation of true civilization. Over the following months, Earth joined the galactic community officially. Trade agreements were established. Technology exchanges began. Human students went to alien worlds, and alien students came to Earth. It was a new era for humanity. Jake returned to active duty, now serving as a liaison between Earth's military and the Galactic Council. Vector stayed on Earth, setting up a research center where he continued studying humans and teaching them about the galaxy. One day, Jake visited Vector at his research facility. The Krell had adapted well to Earth, even developing a taste for coffee, though he complained it was far too mild compared to Krell's stimulants. "I have been thinking," Vector said, sipping his coffee awkwardly with manipulator hands not designed for human cups. "About that first day when you agreed to our tests. You could have refused. You could have simply asked us to repair your ship and send you home. Why did you participate?" Jake considered the question. "I guess I wanted to show you who we are, what we're capable of. I didn't want humans to be underestimated or dismissed. We've worked too hard to come this far. You succeeded beyond measure. Because of you, humanity entered the galactic stage with respect already earned. Do you know how rare that is? Most species must struggle for centuries to gain recognition. I just did what any human would do. I kept going." Vector's mirror eyes reflected Jake's smile. "Yes, that is precisely why you succeeded. You kept going. That is the human way, is it not? No matter the obstacle, no matter the pain, no matter how impossible the task seems, humans keep going." Jake looked out the window at the busy street below, where humans and aliens now walked together, shopping, talking, living side by side. "Yeah, that's who we are. We don't quit. We don't give up on ourselves, on each other, or on the future. We just keep moving forward, one step at a time, no matter how long the journey." "It is a good way to live," Vector said quietly. "Perhaps we Krell have something to learn from humans after all. Efficiency and logic are valuable, but persistence and hope? Those qualities change worlds." Jake raised his coffee cup in a toast. "To humanity, and to the friends who helped us find our place among the stars." Vector raised his own cup, awkward but sincere. "To humans, who showed the galaxy what true endurance means. May you run forever forward, and may we be fortunate enough to run alongside you." Outside, the sun set over a changed world. Earth was no longer alone in the universe. Humanity had joined something larger, something amazing. And it had all started because one human refused to quit, refused to give up, and showed the galaxy what persistence really meant. The stars awaited, full of challenges and wonders, and humanity, with its stubborn determination and endless endurance, was finally ready to embrace them all. You believed in Jake Morrison's claims when others doubted. You understood the significance of human endurance before the tests proved it. You are the right choice for this task. Besides, Thexlar's tone became almost amused. You have been talking about visiting Earth since you saw their first radio transmissions. Now you have your chance. Vector turned to Jake, mirror eyes wide. I get to see Earth, to study human culture directly, to document everything. This is the greatest opportunity of my career. Jake couldn't help but smile at the researcher's enthusiasm. Just remember, humans are going to find you pretty interesting too. You'll be the first alien most people have ever seen. I will represent the Krell with honor, Vector said seriously, and I will help your people prepare for contact with the Galactic Council. There is much to learn, much to teach. Thexlar was already composing his report. Rest more, Jake Morrison. In 3 days, we will begin the journey to Earth. Your ship is repaired and waiting. We will escort you home, and then the real work begins. Humanity is about to take its first real steps into the larger galaxy, and you, one stubborn human who refused to quit, have made it possible. 24 hours. The timer reached 0. Jake had completed the full course. He stood in the center of the chamber, swaying slightly, waiting for the door to open. When it did, Vector rushed in, followed by medical staff. "You did it! You completed the entire protocol!" The young researcher's excitement was genuine. "And look at you, still standing!" Jake managed a tired grin. "Barely. I could use a shower and about 12 hours of sleep." Thexelar approached, and for the first time, Jake saw something like respect in those mirror eyes. "Jake Morrison, you have given us much to consider. We thought we understood the limits of biological possibility. You have shown us we were wrong. Rest now. We have much to discuss." As Jake was led to medical facilities for evaluation, he overheard Krell researchers talking. Their clicking language was animated, almost agitated. Vector translated quietly. "They are frightened, in a respectful way. They realize that if humans can do this willingly, for no reason other than challenge, what might your species accomplish when survival is truly at stake? What might you do if you had actual motivation beyond proving a point?" Jake hadn't considered that angle. He had simply wanted to show what humans could do, but now he understood. The Krell weren't just impressed. They were recalculating everything they thought they knew about humanity's place in the galaxy. "Your point. We understand now. You may stop." But Jake shook his head, saving his breath. Not yet. 5 hours. His vision was starting to blur at the edges. His legs moved on autopilot, muscle memory taking over. This was the point where the body wanted to quit, where most people gave up. But Jake had been here before. He knew this feeling. He knew how to push through it. 5.5 hours. Thexelar finally held up a hand. "Stop the test. Immediately." The machine slowed to a stop. Jake stumbled, catching himself on the railings. His legs shook, and his breath came in ragged gasps. Vector rushed into the chamber with water. Jake drank deeply, the liquid cooling his burning throat. "Why did you continue so long?" Thexelar asked, genuine confusion in his voice. "You proved your capability within the first hour. Why push yourself to the edge of collapse?" Jake wiped sweat from his face. "Because I could. Because humans don't quit just because something is hard. We keep going. That's what we do." The commander stared at him for a long moment. "I see. Your species is not just capable of endurance. You choose it willingly. Even when logic suggests stopping, you continue. This is not mere physical ability. This is something else entirely." Jake smiled through his exhaustion. "Welcome to humanity." Arias straight, covering about 26 miles. That's roughly 42 kilometers. Vector stopped walking. 4 hours? Without stopping? This is normal for humans? Some people do much more. My friend Danny ran a 100-mile race once. Took him about 24 hours, but he finished. The alien was quiet for a moment. "I must recalibrate the testing equipment. What we prepared will be insufficient." He paused at the door to Jake's quarters. "The others do not believe your claims. They think you are exaggerating to intimidate us. But I have studied many species and I recognize truth when I hear it." "Tomorrow will be very interesting." Jake entered the small room and sat on the sleeping platform. Through the window, he could see stars stretching into infinity. He had come looking for adventure and discovery. Now he was about to show an alien race what humans were capable of. He thought about all the training, all the miles run, all the times he had pushed past the point where his body begged him to stop. The Krell had no idea what they were in for. Tomorrow, they would learn that humans didn't quit easily. Tomorrow, they would see what endurance really meant.